Let's start with a little exercise. Picture a dangerous animal. You've got one in your head, right? It's probably a lion, maybe a great white shark if you're feeling nautical. Some of you, and I respect this, immediately went to the hippo, which means you've done your research and you're thinking correctly. But I would bet a significant amount of money that almost none of you pictured a Nile crocodile. And that tells me everything I need to know, because the Nile crocodile is sitting on the bank of a river in sub-Saharan Africa right now, completely unbothered, having been more or less exactly as it currently is for 200 million years. And it does not care that you forgot about it. It never needed your attention. That's actually a core part of its strategy. Welcome to Alpha Animals. Today, we're talking about Crocodylus niloticus, the Nile crocodile, and by the end of this episode, you will have rearranged your entire mental threat assessment framework in ways that I genuinely hope improve your decision-making. Let's begin. First, the specs, because you deserve to know what you're dealing with before we get into the philosophy of it. Adult male Nile crocodiles can reach up to 6 meters in length, that's nearly 20 feet, and weigh over 750 kilograms. For reference, that is a full adult male lion plus another adult male lion and then one more medium-sized dog, all packed into a single scaled, armored, water-breathing chassis with legs. They are the largest reptile in Africa. They are one of the heaviest living reptiles on Earth, second only to the saltwater crocodile, which is its cousin and which is a conversation for another day because I can only handle so much at once. They have 64 to 68 interlocking teeth. They can replace those teeth approximately 45 times over their lifetime. 45! If you could replace your teeth 45 times, you would never floss, and you know it. And that is a judgment-free statement because you are still mortal and fragile, and the crocodile simply is not. Now, here's the part where I need to address some things you think you know, because the Nile crocodile has a significant image problem, rooted in exactly the kind of misrepresentation that happens when something is genuinely ancient and genuinely dangerous, and nobody wants to sit close enough to interview it. Myth number 1, crocodiles are slow, lumbering, barely mobile ambush machines that basically just lie there. Wrong. On land, Nile crocodiles can reach speeds of up to 14 kilometers per hour in short bursts. They can gallop. I need you to understand that. The animal you assumed was essentially a log with teeth can, if motivated, gallop. It can also hold its breath and remain completely submerged and completely motionless for up to 2 hours, which is a patience level that most human beings cannot achieve while waiting for a text message response, and the crocodile is doing it in a river waiting for a wildebeest. Here is the other thing everyone gets wrong, and this one matters culturally because it shapes how underestimated this animal is. You've been comparing it to the wrong predators. When people discuss animal danger statistics, they always lead with lions, sharks, occasionally the box jellyfish for flavor. But the Nile crocodile is responsible for an estimated 200 to 300 human deaths per year on the African continent, which is significantly more than lions, and roughly in the same territory as hippopotamuses. And this fact gets systematically downplayed in the public consciousness because crocodiles are not charismatic in the way that lions are. Nobody has a stuffed crocodile. Nobody is watching YouTube compilations of crocodile friendships set to sad piano music. The crocodile does not perform for you, and we as a society have collectively decided that means it doesn't count. This is hubris, and the crocodile has been watching us exercise it since before the dinosaurs went extinct. Which brings me to the part I want to dwell on for a moment, because it is the fact that I think should permanently restructure how you think about this animal. The Nile crocodile is, from an evolutionary standpoint, what scientists call a living fossil. Its body plan, its basic architecture, the way it works, has remained functionally unchanged for approximately 200 million years. 200 million! Let me put that in perspective for you. 200 million years ago, the Jurassic period hadn't started yet. The continents were still in the process of breaking apart from Pangea. The ancestors of modern birds didn't exist. Dinosaurs existed, flourished, hit their absolute peak, and then got erased from the planet by a mass extinction event that wiped out somewhere between 75 and 80% of all species on Earth. The crocodile watched all of that happen and then made no changes, not because it couldn't, because it didn't need to. It had solved the problem. The animal you think of as primitive and dumb is the one whose design was so good the first time that 200 million years of evolution offered it nothing worth incorporating. It is the animal equivalent of software that never needed a patch. And yet, and here's where I break the fourth wall just slightly because I think you're about to feel something, this animal, this 200 million year old apex predator who survived every extinction event the planet has thrown at it, is threatened by habitat loss and illegal hunting in parts of its range. Let that sit for a second. The thing that survived the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs is being pressured by people draining wetlands for agriculture. The crocodile that required no evolutionary updates for 200 million years is finding that the 21st century, specifically human land use patterns, is the first design problem it wasn't built to solve on its own terms. I'm not being preachy about this. I'm just pointing out that if you needed evidence that humans are a genuinely unprecedented force on this planet, the fact that we're making the dinosaur survivor uncomfortable is a data point worth considering. Now let's talk about the thing everyone actually wants to know about, which is the bite. The Nile crocodile has one of the strongest bite forces ever measured in a living animal. Studies have recorded bites of over 5,000 pounds per square inch in adult athletes, which is roughly 22,000 newtons. To give you an analogy that will ruin something specific for you, the bite force of an adult Nile crocodile is strong enough to crush the frame of a car. Not the window, not a plastic component, the frame, the structural element of the vehicle. If a Nile crocodile bit down on the door of your car, the door would lose that interaction. Now you know, and now you're going to think about it every time you open a car door, and I am not sorry about that, because awareness is important. But here's the counterintuitive part, and this is one of my favorite pieces of biology anywhere in the animal kingdom. The muscles that open the crocodile's jaw are weak, genuinely embarrassingly weak by the standards of the rest of the animal. A trained handler can hold a crocodile's mouth shut with their bare hands. With their hands. The force that can crush a car door can be manually resisted by a person using their palms. This is because a crocodile's jaw is essentially a one-way tool. It is built to close and hold, not to open wide under pressure. The engineering is entirely directional, which means that all 22,000 newtons of closing force exist in an animal whose jaw opening is manageable by hand, which is both reassuring and the most specifically useless reassurance I can offer you, because getting your hands onto a crocodile's snout before it closes is the problem you haven't solved yet. Let's talk about the death roll because it comes up and people always describe it wrong. The death roll is not a random thrashing. It is not panic. It is a precise, calculated technique that the crocodile uses to disorient prey, remove large pieces from a carcass, and manage animals that are too large to be swallowed whole. Wildebeest, zebra, Cape buffalo, all animals that could theoretically fight back, all animals that have been death-rolled into submission by a creature that has been using this exact technique since the Mesozoic era. The death roll is not improvised. It is a 200 million year old solution to a problem that hasn't changed. Here's the thing about the Nile crocodile that I think trips people up when they try to understand it. We project our assumptions about reptiles onto it. Cold-blooded means cold, scales mean primitive, old means simple. But the Nile crocodile is a genuinely complex animal. It communicates through infrasound, vibrations, hissing, bellowing, physical posturing. It has a 4-chambered heart, more like a bird or a mammal than like most other reptiles, which gives it exceptional circulatory efficiency. And here's the one that always gets people. It is a good parent. The female Nile crocodile guards her nest for 3 months, aggressive and vigilant, one of the most defensive postures of any crocodilian. When the eggs hatch, she opens the nest, she carries the hatchlings to the water in her mouth, the same mouth with the 5,000 psi bite, with such precision that she doesn't harm them. The apex predator with the jaw that can crush a car carries babies the size of your hand gently to safety. That's not a fact that fits the cartoon version of the crocodile. That's a fact that forces you to actually look at the animal. The Nile crocodile doesn't need to be understood to survive. It has been surviving things that make our entire civilization look like a temporary art installation. It survived when the Sahara was a green, wet ecosystem and stayed as it dried out over thousands of years. It survived Roman-era hunting. It survived the 20th century, which tried extremely hard to reduce its